A land where ancient dynasties meet K-pop dynasties, where Buddhist temples share horizons with cutting-edge technology, where tradition and innovation create a harmony found nowhere else on Earth. While most nations choose between past and future, there is a country that has mastered both simultaneously. Welcome to South Korea, a nation where impossibility dissolves into determination, and where a war-torn peninsula transformed itself into the world's 10th largest economy in a single lifetime. From the first light of dawn, the country awakens to a symphony of contrasts. Monks chant sutras in mountain temples, while neon signs flicker to life in Seoul streets. The aroma of fermenting kimchi mingles with the scent of fresh-baked bread in cafes that never close. And speaking of remarkable transformations, few know that South Korea holds a distinction unlike any other. It is the only country to rise from being an aid recipient to a major donor nation within a single generation. In the 1960s, South Korea was poorer than Ghana. Today, its technology dominates global markets, its entertainment influences billions, and its cities pulse with an energy that makes visitors question whether they have stepped into the future. From above, the peninsula reveals itself as a masterpiece of determination. Mountains cover 70% of the land, their slopes carpeted in pine and oak forests that explode into crimson every autumn. The DMZ, that strange scar dividing the nation, has accidentally created one of Asia's most pristine nature reserves, where endangered species thrive in the space between two worlds. Rice paddies trace the contours of valleys, while skyscrapers rise from reclaimed land along coastlines that stretch for over 2,400 kilometers. But South Korea is a land of paradoxes. While Samsung and LG shape the digital age, elderly women still carry loads on their heads through markets that have operated for centuries. This tension between preservation and progress has shaped not only the landscape, but also the Korean spirit, creating a people who honor ancestors while racing toward tomorrow, who practice age-old rituals while creating global trends. In this nation, the concept of Jeong defines relationships in ways that resist translation. It means a deep emotional bond that develops through shared experiences, a connection that obligates care and loyalty. It is the reason strangers will feed you if you look hungry, why co-workers become family, why communities rebuild together after tragedy. Every interaction carries the potential for Jeong, transforming transactions into relationships. Moreover, cultural passion pulses through this nation with an intensity that borders on obsession. When Koreans pursue something, they pursue it completely. Baseball games become theatrical events where entire stadiums choreograph cheers. PC bangs, gaming cafes operate 24 hours while professional gamers achieve celebrity status. Educational competition drives students to study until midnight, fueled by the belief that success requires total dedication. Speaking of dedication, every Korean region tells its story through the food that defines it. Jeonju is considered the birthplace of bibimbap, where dozens of ingredients achieve perfect harmony in a single bowl. Busan brings the ocean to the table, its jagalchi market offering seafood so fresh it is still moving. Jeju Island produces pork so prized that black pigs roam freely, developing flavor through natural living. During festivals, these regional cuisines transform streets into celebrations of taste, where every dish carries generations of refinement. Here is a fun fact. Did you know that South Korea has the world's lowest crime rate for a developed nation? You can walk through Seoul at 3 a.m. with your phone visible, and the greatest danger you will face is someone trying to return something you dropped. This safety allows the country's famous nightlife to flourish without fear. This is South Korea, not just a destination, but a living demonstration of what human will can accomplish, offering travelers not a glimpse, but total immersion in a culture that demands you keep up with its pace. Let us now explore its most beautiful and iconic places. Seoul. In the heart of the peninsula, a city of 10 million people never stops moving. Seoul has existed for over 600 years, yet it feels perpetually new, constantly tearing itself down and rebuilding, as if the city itself cannot decide whether to preserve history or erase it in favor of something shinier. The Han River divides the city into north and south, its banks transformed into parks where citizens gather to bike, picnic, and watch the sun set behind bridges that glow like artworks after dark. On summer evenings, floating stages host concerts, while food trucks line the riverside, and this is where Seoul breathes, where the relentless pace finally slows. Gangnam, made famous by a viral song, pulses with wealth displayed through designer boutiques and luxury cars that crawl through streets packed tight as Tokyo, but with twice the attitude. The district represents new money, new career, the generation that grew up wealthy and confident. Shopping in Apgujeong while planning their next business venture or entertainment audition. In Hongdae, youth culture explodes through street performances, indie music venues, and art markets where students sell paintings alongside handmade jewelry. The neighborhood belongs to the young, the creative, the ones who will define what Korean cool means next week, next month, next year. Here, trends are born and die in the span of a season. Yet turn a corner in Seoul and find Bukchon Hanok village, where traditional Korean houses cluster on hillsides like they have for centuries, their curved roofs and wooden walls standing defiant against the surrounding glass towers. Some house museums, others operate as guest houses, but all serve as reminders that Seoul has not forgotten what it was, even as it races toward what it will become. Gyeongbokgung Palace dominates the northern part of the city, its throne hall rising behind walls that could not prevent Japanese occupation, but now welcome millions of visitors. The changing of the guard ceremony happens twice daily, soldiers in Joseon-era costumes performing rituals that connect modern Seoul to its royal past. Inside the palace grounds, time slows down, the city noise fades, and you understand why Korean architects positioned buildings to harmonize with mountains visible in the distance. Myeongdong at night becomes a river of humanity, its narrow streets packed with people moving between cosmetics shops and street food vendors. This is where Korean beauty products sell faster than anywhere on earth, where teenage girls and tourist grandmothers both queue for sheet masks and serums, united in the Korean belief that caring for your appearance is not vanity, but self-respect. The subway system moves 8 million people daily through stations so clean you could eat off the floors, though you would never need to since convenience stores occupy every corner, offering meals from triangle kimbap to instant ramen that tastes better than it has any right to. Seoul's subway is not just transportation, it is the city's circulatory system, keeping everything flowing, everyone moving, the heart that never stops beating. Jeju Island. Off the southern coast, where Korea meets the Pacific, an island rises from volcanic foundations, its presence so distinct from the mainland that Jeju feels like a different country entirely. The climate is subtropical, the culture matriarchal, the landscape dominated by Hallasan, a dormant volcano whose crater lake reflects the sky from 1,950 meters above the sea. Black lava rock covers the shoreline, shaped by eruptions into formations that look deliberately artistic. Dolharubang, stone grandfather statues, stand guard at traditional sites, their features worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain. These basalt guardians have become Jeju's symbol, their faces appearing on everything from postcards to soju bottles. The Haenyeo, women divers who harvest the sea without oxygen tanks, represent a tradition unique to Jeju. Many are now in their 70s and 80s, Yet they still dive daily, holding their breath for minutes while collecting sea urchins and abalone from depths that would panic most people. UNESCO recognized them as intangible cultural heritage, acknowledging that when the last Haenyeo stops diving, something irreplaceable will be lost. Seongsan Il-chulbong, Sunrise Peak, rises from the sea like a crown, its crater forming a natural amphitheater where tourists gather before dawn to watch the sun emerge from the Pacific. The climb takes 30 minutes, the sunrise lasts 10, but those 10 minutes justify the early wake-up, the cold wind, the burning legs from climbing stairs carved into volcanic rock. The Manjangul lava tube extends for 13 kilometers underground, though only 1 kilometer is open to visitors. Walking through its darkness, the flashlight-revealing stone flows frozen mid-motion when magma cooled 300,000 years ago creates a sensation of visiting another planet. The tube maintains a constant temperature of 11 degrees Celsius, cool in summer, warm in winter, a perfect refuge carved by fire. Jeju's beaches offer black sand, white sand, and everything between, each attracting different crowds. Families prefer the gentle waves of Hyopje, while surfers chase swells at Jungmun. In summer, the beaches fill with umbrellas and the smell of grilling meat, the Korean tradition of bringing entire kitchens to the beach, creating temporary communities that disappear with the tide. Pop quiz time. Here is your first question. South Korea transformed from an aid recipient to a donor nation in a single generation, rising from poverty to become the world's what-ranked economy? Is it A, 5th largest, B, 10th largest, or C, 15th largest? We will reveal the answer at the end of the video. Stay tuned. Busan. The second city crouches on the southeastern coast. Its personality is different from Seoul as the ocean is different from a mountain. Busan moves to different rhythms, slower, warmer, more concerned with the next meal and the next catch than the next business deal. Jagalchi Fish Market sprawls along the waterfront, the largest seafood market in Korea, where ajumas, married women vendors, sit beside tanks filled with creatures that should not exist outside nightmares. Hagfish writhe in buckets, while spider crabs wave legs that span a meter. The market operates with brutal efficiency, fish moving from ocean to table in hours, sometimes minutes, the phrase fresh catch, taken to extremes that would shock most food safety inspectors. Gamcheon Culture Village clings to a hillside like a painting someone forgot to flatten. Houses painted in pastels stack upon each other, connected by staircases and alleys that twist without logic. The neighborhood was once a slum, home to refugees from the Korean War, but artists transformed it into an attraction, adding murals and sculptures that turn exploration into a treasure hunt. From the village's highest point, the view extends across Busan to the sea, container ships moving like toys on a blue table. Haeundae Beach stretches for 1.5 kilometers, its sand imported because natural beaches along Korea's rocky coast are rare. In summer, umbrellas pack so densely you cannot see the sand beneath them. Over 1 million people visiting daily, turning the beach into a city built from canvas and plastic. The scene is chaos, yet it works. Everyone finding their space, everyone accepting the crowd as the price of summer relief. The UN Memorial Cemetery preserves the graves of soldiers from 21 nations who died defending South Korea during the war. The rows of white headstones sit in perfect formation, maintained with Korean precision, a permanent reminder that this prosperity, this freedom, this noise and light and overwhelming life was purchased with blood from countries that owed Korea nothing but came anyway. Gyeongju. The ancient capital sits among rice paddies and low mountains, its importance invisible until you understand that beneath every field, every hill, lies a tomb or temple or palace. Gyeongju was the capital of the Silla dynasty for nearly 1,000 years, and that millennium left artifacts scattered across the region like dropped coins. Bulguksa Temple demonstrates what Korean architecture achieved when it peaked. Built in 774, destroyed by Japanese invasion, rebuilt by devotees, the temple complex achieves such perfect proportions that it appears to have grown from the mountain rather than been constructed upon it. Stone staircases represent the path from earthly life to enlightenment, their steps worn by countless feet climbing toward Buddha. Seokguram Grotto houses a Buddha carved from granite, seated in meditation facing the sunrise, his expression so serene that visitors lower their voices instinctively. The grotto's design solved engineering problems that modern architects still study: how to prevent moisture, how to distribute weight, how to create a space that feels larger than its dimensions. That anyone achieved this in the 8th century using only hand tools borders on the miraculous. Tumuli Park contains 23 royal tombs, grass-covered mounds that look like green bubbles rising from the earth. Inside these tumuli, kings and queens were buried with gold crowns, jade ornaments, and weapons for the afterlife. Most remain unexcavated, their content speculation, their existence proof that Gyeongju's importance extended far beyond the Korean peninsula. Anapji Pond reflects the surrounding pavilion so perfectly that visitors cannot determine which image is real and which is reflection. The pond was part of a palace garden, a place where kings came to contemplate, to write poetry, to escape the weight of ruling. Today, illuminated after dark, the pond fulfills its original purpose, providing a space where the world's chaos feels momentarily distant. Here is another fun fact. South Korea has more internet users per capita than any other nation, and its average internet speed is 10 times faster than the global average. This hyperconnectivity has made Korea the testing ground for technologies that other countries adopt years later. If something works in Seoul, it will eventually work everywhere. DMZ. The most heavily militarized border on Earth runs 248 kilometers across the peninsula, dividing one people into two nations. The demilitarized zone is technically a buffer, though the millions of landmines and thousands of soldiers suggest otherwise. Yet this strip of land, untouched by humans for 70 years, has accidentally become a nature preserve where endangered species thrive. From Dora Observatory, visitors look across the DMZ into North Korea, binoculars revealing a propaganda village where buildings have no backs, merely facades meant to suggest prosperity. The observatory's position feels surreal, tourists in a place where war could restart any moment, buying souvenirs beside soldiers ready to die defending this line. The third infiltration tunnel was discovered in 1978, one of several passages North Korea dug for potential invasion. Now tourists descend 73 meters underground, walking through rock painted black to disguise its nature, reaching a concrete barrier beyond which lies North Korea. The tunnel's existence reminds visitors that this division is not historical curiosity, but active threat, that the war technically never ended, that the armistice is not peace, but merely a very long pause. Dorasan Station stands empty, tracks extending toward the North Korean border, ready to connect Seoul to Pyongyang the moment reunification arrives. The station was built with hope, with the belief that eventually politics will soften, borders will open, families will reunite. Until then, it serves as monument to optimism, to the Korean belief that Jeong can overcome even the deepest divisions. Pop quiz time again. Here is your second question. The Haenyeo of Jeju Island are famous female divers who harvest seafood without oxygen tanks. UNESCO recognized them as intangible cultural heritage. But most Haenyeo divers today are in which age group? Is it A, their 30s, B, their 50s, or C, their 70s and 80s? We will reveal the answer shortly. Stay tuned, explorers. Jeonju. In the southwest, where food matters more than fashion, Jeonju maintains traditions that other cities abandoned for modernity. The Hanok village preserves 800 traditional Korean houses, their curved roofs and wooden beams maintained through generations, their interiors converted to guest houses where visitors sleep on heated floors and wake to breakfast that includes more side dishes than most restaurants serve for dinner. Jeonju bibimbap achieves a status other versions cannot match. The rice is local, cooked in brass bowls. The vegetables are arranged according to color theory. The gochujang is made from recipes kept secret. Everything matters, every ingredient chosen for how it contributes to the whole, the dish becoming meditation on balance, on how separate things achieve harmony. The markets of Jeonju overflow with ingredients found nowhere else. Kongnamul, bean sprouts, grown in Jeonju's unique water, develop a crunch and flavor that makes them exports to luxury restaurants in Seoul. Black rice cakes, medicinal herbs, fermented pastes. Every stall offers something claiming to be the authentic version. And in Jeonju, such claims carry weight because this city takes food seriously enough to declare its identity. Gyeongju Shrine houses a portrait of King Taejo, founder of the Joseon dynasty, painted during his lifetime, one of the few existing examples of royal portraiture from that era. Guards in traditional costume protect the shrine, their presence reminder that Korean history is not distant past, but living tradition, that respecting ancestors is not nostalgia, but duty. Andong. In the mountains of North Gyeongsang Province, Andong preserves Confucian culture with a dedication that borders on defiance. While other cities modernize, Andong maintains traditions because tradition is what Andong is, its identity inseparable from the philosophy that shaped it. Haho Folk Village occupies a bend in the Nakdong River, traditional houses arranged according to Confucian principles of hierarchy and harmony. The village is not museum. People live here, farming rice, making tofu, performing mask dances that have been performed for 600 years. The Haho masks, carved from alder wood, represent characters from traditional theatre, their expressions frozen between comedy and tragedy. Andong Sojo achieves the status of cultural artifact. Distilled using methods passed down for generations, it is stronger and cleaner than mass-produced versions. Favored by connoisseurs who can taste the difference between brands, the way wine experts distinguish vintage. In Andong, refusing a drink is refusing relationship, and relationships are all that matter. Bongjongsa Temple sits in mountains so remote that reaching it requires a drive through forests that have survived because monks protected them. The main hall is the oldest wooden building in Korea, constructed in 672, its beams still supporting the roof through 14 centuries of weather, war, and neglect. That it survived feels less like luck and more like testimony to Korean craftsmanship. Insa-dong, Seoul. One neighborhood deserves separate mention. Insa-dong exists as an island of tradition within Seoul's modernity, a street where cars yield to pedestrians on weekends, where traditional tea houses outnumber coffee chains, where antique shops sell artifacts that museums would covet. On Sundays, the main street closes to traffic, transforming into a market where artists sell calligraphy, pottery, and paintings. Street performers play traditional instruments beside vendors offering hottuk, sweet pancakes filled with cinnamon and sugar, their aroma pulling crowds from blocks away. The atmosphere is festival without reason, celebration simply because it is Sunday, and people need spaces where the pali pace can be forgotten for a few hours. Samzegal, a shopping complex designed as a spiral, winds upward through 4 floors of small boutiques selling handmade crafts that blend traditional techniques with modern aesthetics. The rooftop offers views across Insa-dong, a perspective that shows how this one street maintains identity while surrounded by a city that reinvents itself monthly. Jeonju Temple sits amid the neighborhood's chaos, its courtyard a pocket of calm where monks still practice rituals unchanged for centuries. During Buddha's birthday, the entire street fills with lanterns, thousands of paper lights hanging from every building, transforming Insa-dong into a river of colors that flow toward the temple. Korean countryside. Beyond the cities, where mountains outnumber people, Korea's countryside preserves a pace of life that feels immune to Seoul's urgency. Rice paddies trace contours carved by centuries of farming. Villages cluster around temples and markets, their populations elderly, their young having left for Seoul's opportunities and never returned. In autumn, the mountains explode into color, maples and oaks competing for attention, while hikers fill trails that connect peaks to peaks, valleys to valleys. Koreans approach hiking with the same intensity they approach everything, equipped with proper gear, carrying portable stoves to boil ramen at summits, determined to conquer every trail before returning to the city. Mountain temples offer temple stay programs where visitors live as monks for a day or a week, rising at 3 a.m. for meditation, eating temple food that excludes garlic and meat, sitting in silence while contemplating why urban life feels so urgent when existence could be this simple. Most return to cities afterward, but some do not, choosing simplicity over success, a decision that baffles Korean family culture but perhaps represents its own form of enlightenment. The countryside also holds scars. Abandoned houses dot hillsides, empty schools wait for students who will never attend. Villages age without replacement generation. Rural Korea is dying slowly, and this concerns the government enough that subsidies encourage youth to return, to farm, to keep alive traditions that cities have forgotten. So far, few accept. Concluding this visual journey through South Korea, we have traveled from Seoul's electric skyline to Jeju's volcanic shores, from Busan's bustling fish markets to the silent tension of the DMZ, from Gyeongju's ancient tombs to Jeonju's legendary bibimbap, discovering not just places, but a spirit. The Korean determination to honor the past while sprinting toward the future, to preserve tradition while inventing tomorrow, to remain distinctly Korean while influencing the world. We hope these images and stories have enriched your knowledge and sparked your curiosity to personally explore this remarkable peninsula. And for those who have been waiting, here are the answers to our pop quizzes. The answer to the first question is B, 10th largest economy. The answer to the second question is C, their 70s and 80s. How did you do? Let us know in the comments below. Now, before you go, we would love to hear from you. Which destination captured your imagination the most? Was it the endless energy of Seoul, the natural beauty of Jeju Island, or perhaps the preserved traditions of Andong? Drop your favorite in the comments. And here is the big question: where would you like us to take you next? Whether it is another Asian destination, a European gem, or somewhere completely unexpected, tell us below. Your suggestions directly shape our content, and we might just be planning our next adventure to your recommendation right now. If you enjoyed this journey through the land of morning calm, do not forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an adventure. And if this video inspired you to add South Korea to your bucket list, show us some love by hitting the like button. It helps us bring you more content from incredible destinations around the world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep letting the world surprise you. Safe travel.